Question. What do the Lego Movie, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Interstellar all have in common? They all came out a decade ago. Feel old yet? It's not a novel observation that time moves faster as you get older. You probably already know that. That was a voice crack. I haven't gotten older fast enough. I've gotten older, but I've been still young. The reason you clicked on this video is because you want to learn how to slow it down for just 50 smackaroos a month. Sounds like a pretty sweet deal, but you know what? Stick around to the end of this video. I've got another tip for you that only costs $5. A month? No, just one time. I feel like a used car salesman. This beaut will slow down time for 30 easy payments of 25 bucks. I'm Ben, and this is Sketchy Advice. And for those of you deep in the lore on this channel, I did not fall down the stairs again. I was cooking some steak for lunch, and I accidentally cooked myself a little bit instead. I'm fine, just a little mistake. Should probably be in jail for saying that. All right, let's dilate some time. Now, when we talk about time moving faster as you get older, we're obviously not talking about literal time. A second is what a second has always been. 9,192,631,770 ticks of a cesium atom, as is tradition. What's really changing is your perception of time. And we're not even really talking about our perception of the moment we're in, because I can make that slow down to a crawl. I just need to show you one episode of Paw Patrol, never ending. But we're really talking about a specific kind of perception of time, our memory. When we think about life moving faster, we're usually saying something like, oh my gosh, it's July already. It was Christmas just yesterday. And I was going to the stock market because it's the Great Depression. And I have one of those cool hats. And memory is a weird thing. For instance, how do you know if this is a picture, which is a moment frozen in time, or a video where time is kind of ongoing throughout the thing? If you think back on this picture, you're just going to think of it as one distinct memory, no matter how long you look at it. But if I show you this, and then this, and then this, you're going to remember each of those as its own distinct memory, even though you looked at it for a shorter period of time than the picture. Points out two things. One, our perception of time is really our perception of change. We can't really perceive time passing until we perceive a change. And our memory isn't just like security camera footage of what we've experienced. Our brains don't remember everything because that would be terrible. Do you really want a vivid memory of every moment you've spent waiting in line or using the John? Instead, your brain tries to figure out which memories are going to be useful or meaningful to you. Or sometimes they're just traumatic or weird. And how it does that is kind of a mystery, because I still can't remember my son's social security number, but I do remember all 150 of the first generation of Pokemon. That might say more about me than it does about my brain. So your perception of how fast time is moving has a lot to do with what you can remember. And this is where we get into the reminiscence bump. There have been multiple studies now documenting how much we remember across our lives. And across all those studies, a pattern has started to emerge. Generally speaking, you don't remember your baby years because, I don't know, maybe you were in jail. Then as you enter your teen years, things start to go up into your 20s. And around your late 20s, early 30s, you start to see a decrease in memories until eventually you get close enough to where you are now that memories start to ratchet back up. That high point in your adolescent and 20s years is what's called the reminiscence bump. For most people, if you had to sit down and make a list of everything you remember from being in college or being in high school, those are going to be some pretty long lists. There's going to be some wacky anecdotes. But if I asked you something like, what's everything you remember from your early 30s, unless you're like me in your early 30s, you're probably not going to remember a ton. So what is unique about that area where we see the bump? Well, as Mike Viking puts forward in his book, The Art of Making Memories, it's a lot of firsts. It's when I had my first kiss. It's the first time that I moved away from home. But also there's like a bunch of other little firsts in there, like the first time I went to see a horror movie. It was I Am Legend because I'm a scaredy little baby and I'm counting that as a horror movie. Maddie and I had a wonderful honeymoon in Canada, did all kinds of fun things. But one of the things that stands out in my head is having my first and last kelp stout. Shout out to you, Tofino Brewery, you little freaks. It's pretty good, actually. It's kind of salty. Generally speaking, over the course of your life, your adolescence, your early 20s, there's a lot of firsts packed into those things. More things are coming at you for the first time. Everything's new, everything's exciting. And then as you get older, you start to fall into more of a routine. And just like that picture we talked about, the more that your memory perceives things as being the same thing, the more they get glomped together into just one memory. One study that supports this idea that more firsts leads to greater memory retention looked at immigrants who moved to the United States. They found that those people actually had a reminiscence bump that corresponded with their time of immigration because, of course, they're experiencing a bunch of firsts by being in a new culture. If you're looking back over the course of the last year and you've only got like a few memories that really stick out to you, it's going to feel like that time has moved faster because there's less change that you can look back on as a marker of time passing. Whereas if you look back and it's stock full of all of these memories, that's going to feel like time has moved slower. It's natural for us to get onto a routine because routines have all kinds of positive impacts. But routines make our memories consolidate into one blob. So if we want to slow time down, if we want to be able to look back and remember more things, then we need to introduce more firsts because our brain, for whatever reason, is wired to remember those things. So if you want to slow time down, what if you set aside some money every month specifically for that purpose? It doesn't have to be $50. It could be $15 or $100. But the point is that money goes toward intentionally doing something that you've never done before. Maybe it means going to a restaurant you normally wouldn't go to, or cooking something you normally wouldn't think to cook. Maybe it means buying some yarn and needles and seeing if you like knitting. Maybe it means renting a Bollywood movie or an old silent movie, something that you would never watch normally. The key is doing something that stands out from your normal routine so it doesn't get glomped into your normal. And obviously, don't just do things for the first time because that will make you feel like time's going slower. A lot of the time, trying something new winds up being really fun or insightful, or at the very least, memorable. However much money you put towards doing something new, making that effort to inject some new firsts into your routine, it might surprise you how much that slows you down. Now, I know you want to know about that $5 bonus tip, so here it is. One of our Slack channels at YNAB is specifically about sharing parenting stories about our kids. And I often will post little anecdotes about Knox and Lachlan on there. And I get a lot of joy by going back over those posts and remembering things that I had completely forgotten about. We often think our lives are kind of just the same old, but there's lots of little tiny vignettes that slip away if we don't capture them. That's why author and poet Matthew Dix suggests doing what he calls homework for life. Go out, spend a few dollars on a notebook, and every day write down 1 or 2 sentences about the most story-worthy thing that happened that day. A little moment that stood out to you as funny or that made you stop and think. Heck, if you really don't want to spend any money, you can just do this in Excel. That's actually what Matthew himself does. The impact of doing this is not just that you have a greater record of more things. It's also that it makes you look at your day differently. You start noticing stories, looking for stories, thinking of yourself as in a story. And when you pay attention like that, instead of just kind of going on autopilot, that tends to slow things down just a bit. So there you go, a $50 tip and a $5 tip. Do with them what you will. But here's a little suggestion. If you've got a few minutes after this video, take a little time just to think about, what do you want to do for the first time this month? You could talk to your partner or some friends about it. You could talk to your kids about it. And then if you're feeling extra excited, go ahead and tell us about it. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around every once in a while, you might miss it. That movie's almost 40 years old, by the way.